I honestly can't believe I haven't taken down the talking point that is January 6th on this channel yet, knowing what I know for as long as I've known it. The left has, let's call it, an unhealthy obsession with January 6th. It's the biggest gear in the orange man bad machine, so I'm gonna throw a wrench in it. Welcome to the Dog House. Alright guys, so check this out. It doesn't matter where you go to find the timeline. For bonus points, look at any left-leaning source and you'll find that they all agree, even though they don't know they do, but I'll show you why, that it's completely impossible for Trump's words to have caused an insurrection. Man, I wish I could have been his lawyer on this one. So I'm just going to go with Wikipedia here. Easy enough, there's some pretty nasty, glaring language pointed at Trump, so as far as the timeline is concerned, I feel we can trust it. Again, pick any source and you'll find the same information. So the main things Trump said for where we get the insurrection argument from in the first place are the words peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Towards his conclusion, he said, we fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. So the first thing I'm going to say here is this does not by any means meet a legal definition for inciting violence. Historically speaking, peacefully and patriotically full on takes any of the implication for a call to violence out of the latter part of that sentence. So if you've already got your hand in the air like, well, actually, take that hand, slap yourself, and sit back down. I'm not even to the good part yet. These are the words by which the insurrection shtick lives and dies. Again, every bit of this is straight from the wiki. Nothing altered, nothing complicated. So here we've got, the following article is a broad timeline of the course of events surrounding the attack on the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021 by rioters supporting United States President Donald Trump's attempts to overturn his defeat in the 2020 presidential election. Pro-Trump rioters stormed the United States Capitol after assembling on the ellipse of the Capitol complex for a rally headlined as the Save America March. This is very important. So they stormed the Capitol after assembling on the ellipse. At noon, Trump began an over 1 hour speech at the ellipse. Now, as far as encouraging the protesters to leave at 12:49 to go to the Capitol, I'm not sure. Maybe he thought his speech would take longer than that. But on this point, I'm going to have to...
I will have to circle back on that one.
In the same way you always do, and by that I mean I'm not going to do that at all. So anyway, the speech started at noon. 1:10 p.m., Trump ends his speech by urging his supporters to march upon the Capitol building. If you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore, We're going to try to give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country. So, end of speech, 1:10 p.m. And then, 1:11 p.m., first MPD officers arrive at the Lower West Plaza to confront rioters approaching the Capitol. That's a bit odd, don't you think? Trump finishes his speech and literally 1 minute later, there's rioters approaching the Capitol? I need to contact these guys. That's my takeaway because I don't feel it's fair. They know how to teleport and I don't. Something else I wanted to point out to you is that I actually did a dive on this years ago and I Googled how long it would take to get to the Capitol building from the ellipse on foot. From what I understand, traffic was deadlocked that day and you weren't getting a car anywhere near that situation. So if you had to bob and weave in and out of cars, it may have taken you even longer, but here's my secret weapon. Just simply Google how long to walk from the ellipse to the Capitol building, and therein, ladies and gentlemen, the insurrection narrative comes crashing down. Here's the ellipse, here's the Capitol building, this is how many blocks you'd have to walk between all the stuck cars. So from the time Trump finishes his speech at 1:10 p.m. in perfect conditions and nothing obstructing your path, your estimated time to reach the Capitol building on foot would have been 1:55 p.m. The soonest that anybody who heard the words peacefully and patriotically and the words fight like hell could have been there is 45 minutes after the first wave of rioters were already there, as well as any others that showed up for the next 45 minutes, because remember, up until this point, the words peacefully and patriotically had not yet been spoken, and certainly not to the people who were already at the Capitol. So you tell me, how is it possible that Trump's words could have possibly incited an insurrection when all they could have heard was the first 25 minutes of the speech before they'd have been like, hey, I'd love to sit here and listen to him, but we really got to get a move on if we're going to make it there in time for the break and stuff.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
By the time all leftist sources claimed they did. So if in fact those words were insightful, which they weren't, his mob would have been a little late to the party, you follow? Which means legally he couldn't have been held accountable for it, like at all. Of course, there were some bad actors there. People broke the law. People got hurt. It's not good. I'm not condoning any of that. But there were also some people there who were completely peaceful and were held for over 3 years without so much as a single charge. All for the purpose of hunting someone who in fact did not call for an insurrection. You're more than welcome to try to convince me that he did. I do want to know what you guys think in the comments. Is there anything I missed? Am I completely wrong? I don't really think I am. Because liberal, if you like what I do, please leave a like. They really help. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.
All right, Caddy, we have breaking news right now. Joe Biden has just according to Jonathan Mir, has just issued a series of pardons.
I'll just read from it. I'm exercising my authority under the Constitution to pardon General Mark A. Milley, Dr. Anthony S. Fauci, the members of Congress and staff who served on the January 6th Select Committee,